So what we want to do now is we want to play exactly what Stephen A. Smith had to say. I want you guys to listen to it in its entirety. And we're going to come back and react to what he had to say. Take a listen to that there.
I miss Jeff Van Gundy. I miss Mark Jackson. This is not me throwing any shade at Doris Burke, J.J. Redick, certainly the Hall of Famer Mike Breen. Doris Burke's a Hall of Famer too. This is not about anything like that. This is about the fact that Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson were truly an A-team. They were exceptional at their jobs. They were riveting in a lot of ways. They were an illustrious tag team that the basketball world enjoyed for more than a decade. Love them both, respect the hell out of them. And Jeff Van Gundy having a job back in the NBA, I couldn't be happier for him. He's a good man. Stan Van Gundy, his brother, is a good man. And by the way, the other day I heard Stan Van Gundy on Dan Le Batard's show speaking about how his now late wife, Jeff Van Gundy's sister-in-law, had passed away after committing suicide. I had no idea. My heartfelt condolences to the Van Gundy family. Back to basketball. Jeff Van Gundy deserves to be what he wants in a game of basketball. If it's a coach, fine. If it's an assistant coach, fine. If it's a color commentator, fine. I respect the hell out of Jeff, and I'm very fond of him. But it's one thing that we all have to understand. And nobody speaks about this because everybody talks about stuff as unfair and, you know, he got let go. In the world of business, when cuts take place, cuts take place. There's hundreds of people who lost their jobs. And it wasn't just at ESPN or at Disney. Have you seen what happened at Meta? Have you seen what has happened at places like Apple and Amazon and other places? The climate that we're living in, these kind of things happen. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's fair. Damn it, it's downright cruel. When have we known the world of business to be otherwise? And I got news for you. I was sad to see Jeff Van Gundy go. Even sadder to see my brother, Mark Jackson, because obviously I'm a lot tighter with him than I am with Jeff Van Gundy. But I'm never concerned about them landing on their feet because of who they are, how impeccable their reputations are, and the kind of opportunities that will inevitably come their way. I can assure you, I know of plenty of people, when they lose their jobs, if they were to lose their jobs, it wouldn't be quite that easy. Matter of fact, it would be significantly more daunting. So again, in terms of Jeff Van Gundy, I miss you, buddy. I wish him and Mark Jackson were still at our network.
So you heard what Stephen A. Smith had to say. Listen, I think Stephen A. Smith made some good points, especially given the horrendous job that ESPN did at the NBA Finals, where they were heavily criticized for the lackluster job they did in terms of actually analyzing the games. Essentially, all their halftime shows was essentially full of just ads, where they rarely broke down anything or talked about anything substantive. And a lot of viewers called them out for the horrible job that they did. And then they also spoke about the crew that called the game. And although they did an all right job, there were some blunders and hiccups here and there. But no one is mistaking them for the duo of Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson. Like, they were just top of the shelf. Top tier. And I think all of us missed them.